Making a painting or writing a poem nowadays is like dropping a feather into the Grand Canyon and waiting to hear the crash. "95% of the business of painting is roughly getting the paint to do what you want it to do. If you're meeting a lot of resistance, then it becomes like a battle of attrition. Either you're going to win with that image, or the painting's going to deny you. The actual amount of time when I'm in the zone is fairly condensed, but it's very intense. You're not aware of time, to be honest, when you're in that quite precious, rare zone. It's exhilarating. In Britain especially, we live in a culture that is deeply antithetical to visual art. The position of the artist is, at its best, a commodity, because all power has been taken away from the artist. Artists don't run anything. People would accuse me of being quite a romantic, but I personally think being an artist is a vocation rather than a career. There may be reward in it, and there may not. I'm still a struggling artist, and I'm 65. There's something much more important. You have to have the need to want to say something. That's the baseline of everything. Without that, there is nothing.
Everything that is interesting is 90% boring.
I wanted to go to art school when I left school, but kind of the road to true love, as it were, is never an easy road. I applied to Art Foundation College and I was given a reserved place for the following year, and I got a job working for a criminal lawyer in Mayfair, and at the age of 17 my head was turned by the glamour of West End crime in the early 1970s. You know, I went to art school as a mature student. I was 24 when I finally did get to art school. So I'd been in the paid working environment for 8 years. And because of the nature of the environment I was working in, courts, in prisons, law offices, you have to find ways of not being too fazed by what the working day throws at you. And I think it broadens, I think, the way you look at the world. You know, Dickens worked for lawyers and, you know, drew on that in his writings. Rothko has, for the greater part of my working life as an artist, been a kind of, for want of a better word, inspiration. I remember being in Tate, and great paintings, they don't try to sell you anything, they're just there, and Rothko's paintings were just there. I've been in Rothko lots of times since then, and it's not happened, and never been able to repeat it, but on that one occasion, I can literally say the paintings did speak to me. I suppose it's a bit like an encounter with a person. In one particular place, at one particular time, some object that somebody's made connects with you. It's very ephemeral, but, you know, it happened. and thank God it does happen. The building here means a great deal to me because it's been my workplace, studio, and a place where I've marked the course of my life with the course of the paintings I've made here. The studio looks completely chaotic, but within my own mind, there's an internal Nick Wyatt logic. It's like a garden that's got overgrown. The wall that I work on, my working wall, is this wall here. These walls receive the most light, basically. I tend to work through ideas, through drawing first of all, and then these ideas will kind of coalesce into an image that I'm happy with to actually go ahead and paint on the canvas. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the nature of painting. Most of my time is all in the lead up to that time when it's just you and the canvas. This morning I'm going to do the kind of first stage of the painting, which is to establish some kind of pictorial space. I knew I always wanted some violet in the ground and some sort of onyx green in the ground, and it was going to be like a play-off between those and the darker black tones. As the painting developed, I knew I wanted kind of almost like a source of light in the left-hand corner, almost like a bar of light, and that had to be balanced out though by much warmer tones on the other side of the painting. While you're in the zone and you're feeling the way, but using kind of, I guess, some kind of instinctual knowledge that you have about colour and form and composition, and just trying to get a kind of a surface to work in a pictorially spatial way. So you're kind of looking, I guess, for a structure as you're working. A lot of the time it's like you're groping your way towards it, and there comes a point when suddenly a structure starts to present itself to you, and then you run with that. The next stage of the painting is that I start painting the figure in quite a direct manner. The final image that a person sees on a painting is maybe like 1/7 of the image making activity that's gone on that canvas. But it's that process and it's that history of the image in the painting that gives the kind of the richness and depth to the final image. The danger is that you kind of focus too much on one small element in the painting, and you have to then step back and then think, well, how's that going to work in the overall mechanics or working of the painting? I think it's fairly close to being finished, but there's, I think, 1 or 2 adjustments that need to be made. It feels good to be making images anyway. The amount of actual very kind of focused painting is relatively concentrated within, say, an hour and a half. Then it's basically a law of diminishing returns. I just want to get out of the studio quickly after finishing a painting session. A large percentage of the meaning of contemporary art is bound up within its role and function as a luxury brand, which is not healthy, I don't think. I would like to see a change for artists of the future in which, you know, they felt they had a place and a role in the society that wasn't just predicated on how many hundreds of thousands of pounds they bring in each year and whether they're in the biggest gallery in the world. I've been to Europe, and I noticed in countries like Germany, Holland, there's a broader base of support for artists. You can find a way of being able to live from your practice without having to become this kind of, celebrity star. I'm not saying artists shouldn't be able to sell their work. I'd love to sell my work, but a lot of artists, when they get to a certain age and haven't been validated by the art world in the conventional ways, find it hard. To put it bluntly, it's not so easy seeing your peer group get success and other parts of your peer group, myself included, not enjoying that kind of success. Someone once said, it gets easier the more you've been doing it. It doesn't really. You have to take a philosophical view of, no one's forcing me to do this. I elected to do this. That's why I say it's a vocation. Making paintings is it's my way of making sense of my world. In a way, maybe that's as much as I need, just so I can get by.